Hey, good morning to everybody. Daryl P. here, aka Artist in Recovery. And I was just working on my early morning street rhymes and spoken word videos. If you watch my channel, these are my short videos that I do every day, usually having to do with Trump and the MAGA world. And today it's about young male Trumpers being unhappy with immigration. And in that video, I was talking about their solution was to replace immigrants with young kids working in the fields. Okay, and the more I thought about that, I don't want to come across as disingenuous or being a hypocrite. And I started thinking about that. Their plan, Trumpers' plans of replacing immigrants that are being deported in the fields, like picking fruit, with under 16-year-old kids in the summertime. That's their plans. That's one of their big plans. And, of course, it doesn't sound like a very good plan, considering everybody's complaining about how badly America, the United States, is doing in education. Even though this is during the summer, kids, they're long, sweaty, dirty hours working in a field. So I'm not a big proponent of this, but I didn't want to seem like a hypocrite, because I thought back to when I was 14, going on 15, till I was 16 years old, till I was legal to get a job. I had always wanted, I was dying to get a job delivering newspapers. Now, if you're not Gen X, or if you're younger than Gen X, you might wonder what this is. Newspapers were how we got the news, besides for the TV back in the 80s and 70s, 60s, 80s, and everything. And it was a big job among kids, like 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm not sure what the youngest paper boys were, and paper girls. But I had always wanted a paper route. Now, initially, I lived out in the woods. My dad was a park ranger, and we lived in the state park. So there was nobody to deliver newspapers to. Then once I moved to, he passed away from brain cancer, and we moved to a bigger town, and I had the opportunity to get a paper route. And I didn't just get one paper route. I believe I had at least 5 paper routes. I had 2 or 3 afternoon routes and 2 Sunday routes. You had morning routes, afternoon routes for the morning papers and the evening papers and the Sunday papers. So I had like 2 afternoon routes, or 2 or 3 afternoon routes and 2 Sunday routes. Okay, and part of this job was going, like at the end of the week, going and collecting the money the people owed. That was part of it too. It really was a great job for learning enterprise, you selling papers, putting papers out there, being good at delivery, and learning customer service and collections. It was tough. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. What is it? You give me my $2. I forgot what movie that's from. So, you have to learn all this stuff and keeping records and all that. And the pay was really good once you get down to it. Okay, so here's where, I don't want to appear like a hypocrite. I actually used the money that I earned from the time I just turned 15 till a little after I was 16. I actually went back to delivering papers. I got a job washing dishes when I was 16, and I hated it. It was minimum wage, $3.30 an hour or something like that, and it sucked. I was in the kitchen until like 2 in the morning, washing greasy dishes with cigarettes in them and everything. And I actually quit the job and went back to my paper route. I kept the paper route just in case it didn't work out. So I was a paper boy until I was like 16, 17 years old. I bought my first car, a 1975 Dodge Charger, for $2,000. I bought that with the money from my paper route. So I loved having a paper route. Okay, so what are the differences between having kids work in the fields now? I mean, it's completely different. Working in the fields, I'm assuming they'd work at least, 6, 8-hour days, or even 4-hour days, working out in a hot, dirty field. Back when I was delivering papers, I think on average week, I worked a total of 10 hours. Each day was probably about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes delivering the papers. And then Sundays, I had to put the papers together. I had to put the inserts in, and so it was a little longer on Sundays. And then the days I would have to go and collect, I'd have to go pick up go hit people up for the money they owed me. So I'd say 10 hours a week, okay? I made $70 a week on average back then with 5 paper routes, 10 hours. The minimum wage was like $3.30, $3.37, I think it was, in 1979, 1980, 1979. So I was earning $7 an hour. I was earning more than twice the minimum wage. You know, so nowadays, if that would be like, say the minimum wage is $15 an hour. That would be like if you were paying kids $30 an hour to work in the fields. You know, for you know, and then like I said, the hours are way different. Even if you had the kids working in fields for just 20 hours a week, that's still twice what I was working, and I was getting paid twice the minimum wage back then. And I'm sure young kids today would, you know, I'm sure they would screw over anybody like under 16. They had work in the fields. Now I'm sure they would try to get away with paying them less than minimum wage because they're minors, you know, so they don't deserve the money somehow. But so that's my take on this. There's a big difference between when I used to work delivering newspapers, 10 hours a week, making $70 a week, twice the minimum wage. And nowadays, where Trump is proposing to put minors under 16 in the fields in the summer, supposedly just in the summer, to take up the slack for all the people they're deporting, picking fruit and in the fields. Let me know what you think. Did you ever have a job did you ever have a job delivering newspapers? Let me know down below. All right. Have a good Friday.